Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
All right, race fans, welcome live tonight here, Talladega Super Speedway. Boy, do we got a show for you here tonight. Man, K&N Series presented by the Nemesis Lab with a Sim500 crowd, and these boys are in for a treat. Well, let's go through the grid order real quick here because Anthony DeBarro's a man out front. Steve Goschak started in second there. Mike Kelly up in the third. Shane Ewan the fourth. Got Dwayne Vincent there in the fifth. Robert Gilliwater there in sixth. Doug Roth up to seventh. We got E.J. O'Rourke starting in eighth. Mike Motesi to ninth. Justin Fuller rounds the top 10 as we look through the rest of the field. Always said we got a stacked house here tonight. Well, we got some good things here to show off. It's going to be a wild one here because the K&N car all season long, we've talked about iRacing and their new tire model and whatnot. Well, tonight it's going to be even a treat. Everybody loves wrecks. Everybody loves crashes. Well, tonight is going to be wild because the new damage model is out for iRacing here tonight. So when there's a wreck, it's definitely going to look stellar. But hey, Jeff, what are you thinking, man?
I'm thinking about that new damage model that you just brought up here. Now, these cars, you know, we've talked about how they drive. When you touch the wall, you get stuck to them, this, that, and the other. Now, I was watching in practice, when you hit the wall, you're wrecking. It's not getting stuck to the wall, you're wrecking now. Also, in this new damage model, when you wreck, parts go everywhere. And those parts that are scattered across the track, that debris, that can damage other cars. So if you run something over, you can, lose a tire. You can put a hole in your radiator. You can damage your car just by hitting debris. And that's going to be a huge thing, because just because you weave through the wreck doesn't mean you didn't run something over in the process, and that's something we're going to have to watch out for.
Absolutely. It's going to be fun and exciting as we're getting set here to go green flag racing 70 laps here, Talladega style. And kind of excited to see. Like I said, I don't want any of these guys to wreck, obviously. But tonight could be an unusual affair. As the pace car's in, they're going to make that slow march off the way to the start-finish line. Remember, it's a little different than Daytona. They got to go through the whole tri-oval, so even after the pace car's in, it takes a little bit of time just to get going here. That man out front, Anthony Navarro, green flag flying. We're racing here, I think, also tonight here, Jeff. I think what's going to happen is Jose there was telling us, and he was up here just a minute ago, Jose Gonzalez. A lot of these guys are feeling the effects of some bump drafting. The bump drafting tonight is going to be very, very difficult to do.
Speaking of bump drafting, 2 cars go around there towards the back. Look like the 21 and Nick Cohan.
Yeah, let's go back on the replay and watch. But they said they're probably going to be a little bit more easier. But let's go back and watch. Looks like there it is. Bump drafting going wrong. And boom, Nick Cohan, he's around.
No
Luckily
caution
for him, no. Chris Jaboo got involved with that too. Let's see what happened. Like Chris just tried to avoid it, and actually he didn't hit anything. Chris actually doesn't look like anybody hit anything. I can watch it one more time. Got right here. Glenn Campbell goes to the grass, but luckily did not hit anything. So, all right. Still racing.
We are still green. They are 3 wide towards the front now, going down the backstretch. Looks like Shane Ewing in that 32 machine all by his lonesome up on the outside.
Absolutely right there. EJ O'Rourke's up there in the mix too. You got Steve Goschak, man, hammering it down with the 3 wide up front. Again, I was mentioning some of the drivers were talking about they might not get into the bump drafting too much, but we saw right there in the back what happens already. Bump drafting going wrong early on. They're 3 wide for the lead.
Shane Ewing got some help on the outside. He's got the 45 behind him, not getting up on his bumper and pushing him. He doesn't want to cause a wreck this early. Matt Lacrosse, he's just hanging out, a couple inches off. That's exactly what he needs to do. In this new model with these cars, when you bump draft someone, it doesn't just get them out of shape. You can get over that. But what it does is it jacks up the rear end of the car that gets pushed, and that's what causes the wreck. They're not losing control of the car. They never had control in the first place because half their wheels are off the ground.
And you're absolutely right. I heard the guys talking about that all night tonight, talking about how those cars are losing grip. Right now, still 3 wide for the lead. You got 3 cars up top, slew in the middle, some down low, but they are giving each of these guys a little bit of room there when they're drafting. They're not up on top of each other right now.
Shane Ewing gets down to the bottom. Looked like he was trying to pull Matt Lacrosse with him. It just didn't work. Didn't have enough speed going to pull the 45. As now he's sort of stuck in the middle. He's got to go back up to the top and ask Matt for a little more help as EJ O'Rourke gets a good run on the bottom.
Nothing these drivers can do right now with the setup that it is. I mean, this is pretty much Talladega racing 3x3x3 and just nose to tail. Now, the good thing, like you said, is they're giving a lot of room between the cars. Now, that'll get shut up about 5 to 3 laps to go, but for right now, they know they got a long way to go here. As you see drivers, man, jockeying around. EJ's trying to find a place.
You got to sort of block for the lead up front here, and I think everyone is just trying to get their feet wet with not being able to bump draft in these cars. They're trying to figure out what they need to do, and everyone is sort of taking a gloved approach here as they're getting awful close to that wall in the outside line. I got a little bit worried there, but it seems like the bottom is the place to be, and everyone is moving up to the top to block and just losing all that momentum. But then they get up there and they can kind of sort of get a run together. So I'm not sure what the best line is here yet. We're going to have to wait and see.
Absolutely. As you see right there, EJ out front, hanging on to the top side there, or down low all the way with Justin Fuller, Steve Goschak, Shane Ewing, which that'll change very quickly. They are still 3x3x3 though. EJ's doing an outstanding job trying to break that draft, but he just wants to be careful. Don't want to get up there and get clipped in the rear.
You're exactly right, but man, they are 3 wide and 3 deep. That is absolutely incredible.
Nice racing so far up front for the lead. Still 3 wide at Matco Tools way up top with Steve Goschak, Shane Ewing. Shane's trying to bring that, I'm going to say, the wall line up there to life.
The Dale Jr. line is it started to be called in the past couple years because it's hard to get a run going there on the bottom, but that's when everyone's single file. When they're 3 wide like this, I want to be down on the inside, but that's just me. I haven't run these cars, in the past couple months, so I'm not sure what the best line is. But that inside line sure is strong with DJ O'Rourke leading it. But don't count out that 32. He's one of the most fun guys to watch out here. Always puts together a great effort. Gets caught up in a lot of wrecks. If he can keep it clean tonight, he could have himself a real good run, if not a win.
This right here is probably the most frustrating drivers can have. They know they can't go anywhere. They're kind of stuck right now. They're just all up there in a pile, and just nothing they can do right now as it's still locked up, man. They are locked together. 3 by 3 by 3 for the lead. Shane up top, Matt Lacrosse right there with them. Now it looks like we're getting broke up just a little bit.
Oh, yeah, we got some movement. Shane Ewing going down to the bottom, had a great run on the outside. This time he pulls the 45 with him, but that hangs the 53 out to dry. He's got no more help. Trey Eidson, he's sort of stuck in that middle line. Maybe he'll get down in front of Steve Gottschalk, but he is by himself, and he's going to fall ways back as he tries to get to the bottom line. It doesn't work.
Absolutely, is out front still Shane. He drops down the inside. Matt Lacrosse there behind him doing some good pushing so far. Good draft right now. Got Justin Fuller there still side-by-side racing. Right now the top two guys are single file, but that could change. As you see, Shane goes high just a little bit there.
It seems like Shane is throwing a lot of blocks when he doesn't need to. That middle line, I don't think a run was really going to form up as early as he thought it was, and he's going to lose a lot of ground now as he's moving towards the back. It could have been a calculated move as he wants to sit in the back of his pack now, but it seemed like a block just thrown at the wrong time. He's got a lot to learn here, but of all the drivers, I've got a lot of faith in him.
And you're right. I think right there was just, like you said, a calculated move on Shane's part. I think he led his laps that he wanted to lead. Got up there, saw what the car could do. He sees, hey, look, I can bring it to the front about any time I want. And now he's just kind of falling back. Yeah, you see him back out of the groove again. I think he's wanting to go to drop to the back. As I say that, he's still staying up there at the top side. But then again, that's strategy. We'll see it all night long. But, boy, you can see he's got a strong machine. He's coming to the outside without help at all.
He's all by himself out there and making the third lane work. He has no help, and he's outrunning these guys. That is, I think maybe I was wrong before. I think he's just out there having fun. He's dropped, goes out, leads, drops back, and gets back up to the front. He's just playing mind games with these guys right now.
And he's been able to hold that machine, like you said. I mean, he's got a bad, fast hot rod out here tonight. So far, battle for the lead. Matt Lacrosse, Justin Fuller up front, Steve Gottschalk and company. But, man, Shane Ewing, he is turning up the wick here. Good thing is he's doing it a little bit safe-wise. Let's say it that way. And just to give an update, we always love these updates here, Jeff. Sitting in ninth place right now is on Steve there with the Peeps machine.
Ah, the Peeps machine, my favorite car out here. It's easy to spot him. You always know where he is. That bright pink car, that is the Peeps machine. Now, with this new damage model, if that Peeps machine gets into a wreck, I don't think we're going to see one or two Peeps, Maybe we lose a Peep or two before. No. Now, the whole farm goes up in flames. Let's just say that. With this new damage model, if he gets in a big wreck, that whole car is gone.
Yeah, I agree with you on that one, man. I tell you, it's going to be interesting. Hopefully this thing goes by caution-free the whole entire time, but it's going to be a electric with the if there is any damage or anything. And I know we're up here talking up a cool breeze because it is kind of cool what iRacing has done with the damage model. We are in week 13, and what week 13 means to iRacers is, one, don't run a lot of official racing unless you don't care about your IR and all. Two, it basically is a build week. They bring out their new builds and new special little things that they're going to add on. They add in some new cars and a lot of different things like that. So, got to see what these guys got in store here tonight. Oh, crash in the back. Shane Ewing around. We were just talking about it.
Shane Ewing goes around. Looks like we're going to stay green again as another pack of cars is coming. He pulls back on track trying to get the thing straightened out. And now
watching a replay, watching a replay, he got up into the wall, and he tried to stay up there in the wall, and it looks like that car just kind of came down. Him and another machine right there, 27, it was, and then boom, right into the wall.
You can see a lot of left front damage on that car. The left front wheel is sticking out a bit. And if you get an up-close view of that suspension, you can see it's riding a little bit differently. So Could be some suspension damage with that new damage model for the 32 car. Let's see if he can get it fixed and keep pace with these other guys.
Yeah, just watching it right there, and unfortunately slams the wall. I mean, he had a bad fast hot rod, and now it just went up in smoke, unfortunately, right there. Just kind of got up into the wall. That car just kind of unusual. Got up in the wall, but yeah, you can see the hood all crumped up on it, and sure if we can get a shot over there on the left-hand side or right-hand side. Maybe, like you said, some damage to that suspension, but definitely you can see the front end of it all messed up.
Absolutely. Looks like the frame itself could be bent. I mean, he's holding the wheel at about 1 o'clock inside the cockpit there. I'm looking at it. So he's definitely got an offset wheel. That's some major front end damage, but everyone's going to come down, probably take 4 tires, pack it with fuel. Those guys that wrecked earlier maybe get a little bit of damage fixed, and now they've caught back up with the pack. They were at risk of going a lap down. I was going to mention it. That lead pack was catching them.
Yeah, hate that right there. Well, under caution for the first time here tonight. Like a single car caution there would be Shane Ewing. Like you said, it looks like Matt Lacrosse will be the man who's going to stay out here and get back out front.
I don't know if that's a good move there. That fuel, he's banking on another caution. Everyone else now has the advantage of a full tank of fuel. And with how clean everyone was running, I think I would have lost, the opportunity to lead some laps and taken the fuel and taken the fresh tires just to be on the safe side.
When he pitted, he did pit.
Oh, he did pit. Okay.
Yeah, I think he only took 2 tires. And actually, my bad, he had a 6-second pit stop. So with that type of pit stop, from my understanding, is he pretty much probably didn't take any tires. I'd have to go back and look at it. But at 6 seconds, looks like he just topped that thing off fuel-wise.
Okay, I was watching this 32 car, seeing what sort of damage is being repaired, and I thought you said he stayed out. That's my bad there, but
yeah,
good move then.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Well, we talk about tires all the time. At Talladega Daytona, even though with a new tire model, you can get away with not changing tires here.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, there's guys that'll run the entire race on a set of tires. The only really difficult part is getting off a pit road when you pit under green on old tires, because you're pushing it and it's really hard to control that car. It feels like you're driving on ice, so you got to be very careful with it. But if you're under caution here, yeah, take 2 tires, run the entire race. If you pit only under caution, run the entire race on a set of tires and just keep getting that track position. As long as you get fuel in the car and have enough fuel in the car, that is what's important, but tires are not the limiting factor here.
Yeah, it looks like Scott Walters is the first one who took 2 tires. He had a 10-second stop. Trey Edson on back, looks like 4 tires. A couple guys out there with 2 tire stops. But, yeah, the top, from the way I look at it there, I mean, Matt Lacrosse with a 6.5-second pit stop, that looks like no tires was took at all. Now, Mike Matesi probably could have taken 2 with a 9-second and 8-second by Steve there. Like I said, without going back looking at their pit stops, but awful quick. My sense is if you're going to take fuel and fill it up, you might as well take 2, because it's about half dozen than the other.
You're absolutely right. And now I guess looks can be deceiving, because look who's back on track and on the lead lap, fully repaired it looks like, is that 32 car. He's back on track. He didn't have any engine damage. I checked on that while he was idling in his pit box. Didn't look like he was down any RPMs. That front end looks pretty darn good to me. I think he's still a contender here.
Can't get a good close-up view here of it. Huh. I know they don't have fast fix, so I know that.
Correct, they do not.
So maybe even it's about like we see the new damage model there. We saw the front end bumped up some. Maybe when he came in and got the optional repair, they were able to beat that thing back in place.
Get that hood beat back down in place. Get this guy back out on track. Keep him on the lead lap. And we saw how quick he was. He was running that outside line all by himself. He's going to restart all the way back in 35th. But if anyone can make something happen here of the cars we've seen, it looks like that 32 is strong.
I think, just keep an eye on him. He's back there in the back. And not a bad place to be. You know, I mean, maybe try to stay out of trouble. It looked like a couple times he was going to drop to the back, so I'll keep our eye on it, see what he does through the field. Now, again, from the way that front end looks, as long as he don't have any suspension damage, which he should be fine, staying behind someone coming through the field here. But wow, look at that, Steve up there to third place. Steve got his chalk out there.
Looks like he's up to second place, where he'll be restarting, and Steve Bavacqua is going to be starting in third. That Peeps machine is already up 9 spots.
Man, tell you what, he might can pull it off here tonight. Anybody can. I mean, this is one of these tracks here. I mean, it's Talladega. It's a wild card track. Anything can happen here. I've said it time and time again. You can start in the back. You can start in the middle. You can start in the front. I've seen guys start 2 laps down on pit road. Hey, I'm starting to see if somebody actually could just start in the concession stand area and win this thing.
Yeah, I think next year with this, with how much everything's changing, with how much of a wild card this track is, the guy taking tickets might be able to come out and win this thing. Talk about an underdog.
That would be something to talk about right there. I'd like to see that one.
Mike Joy up in the booth has been declared the Daytona 500 winner for 2021. Absolutely incredible run by him. Nice.
Yeah, there you go. Woo. Well, so we get set here in about another lap or so to get back going. Go back, man. What's up, Chemo? How you doing out there, man? How you doing, Tim? Everybody want to see how everybody out here tonight. Man, we got the Nemesis Lab K&N series here with the Sim500 here at Talladega. It's Talladega. Definitely, plate track racing. But with the K&N car, we call it the K&N car. It's actually the old Cup car, but we'll keep to the K&N style here. And with a new damage model here too, and everybody's probably thinking, what's he up there talking about? He's ranting on about some damage. We are on the virtual world, folks. So, in the real world, yes, vendors fly and car parts go everywhere. Well, now the same thing on the virtual world. If you tear up those cars, parts can go everywhere.
And they can damage the other cars. I think that's going to play a huge factor here where there's always a big one. Every race at Talladega or Daytona, there's always a big one. Now with parts flying all over the track, hoods and pieces and tires and everything else flying all over the place, if somebody gets hit by one of those things, that will damage their car. And that could be huge. Somebody weaves their way through a wreck and they get nailed by a piece of debris. Well, they're still caught in it.
I'm waiting for one of the virtual crowd members out there to sue iRacing.
Oh, man.
They're now in the news already. 3D image. Doing iRacing or NASCAR league or something. I don't know. Just say
hey, anything's possible. In the year 2020, you never know what to expect around the next corner.
Oh, no doubt about it.
A virtual fan throws a virtual hot dog wrap around track and it gets stuck on the grill, blows up the leader. Oh, man, it's a whole issue.
No doubt about it. I tell you, it's going to be wild. I mean, a lot of changes happening in the virtual world here. iRacing.com, I say it's the realest thing without spending millions of dollars to go real racing. But, it's always good to see that, sim racing has what it has done and turn that it's taken as far as with NASCAR and obviously the road side of things, dirt side of things. There's many different, forms and disciplines of racing out there, real and virtual wise. So it's really good to see what iRacing has done over the years.
It really is. You think about really just how amazing it is that there are actual drivers. The first one that comes to mind is Anthony Alfredo, that use this, that train on it still, William Byron, that are constantly on here racing with anyone that, is online and willing to race them. And they're training and they're improving by it. And they're just getting better and better by playing, what some people just write off as pretend race cars is helping actual drivers train.
Oh, absolutely. You got pro drivers too here, sanctioned by NASCAR and so forth. So a lot of great things here. And I mean, the Sim500 being here, an outstanding league. They got a lot of prize money up for grabs on their Premier Series there on Monday night, presented by the Trans Service Cup. And, you know, obviously got surprises up here, you know, in this series here with the Nemesis Lab. They got a lot of great sponsors, a lot of great things out there. I've touched on that subject many a times in past broadcasts and what. Good to see what iRacing is getting into. Get a 3. Not sure about that one, Chemo, man. So who knows? But pace cars in. We're getting set to go back. Green flag racing here. Talladega style. Like I said, it takes a long while. I mean, these cars, you've got a little bit of time to sit there and actually think about what you're going to do, because that march to the green flag is a little bit longer.
It is a long way down that front stretch, just waiting and waiting and waiting, and then suddenly you see the green flag right there. It goes up, and everyone's hustling to try and get as many spots as they can. Looks like that inside line might have a little bit of a disadvantage. The outside line is forming up quicker, it looks like, but they are going to be side by side going into turns 1 and 2.
Absolutely, still side by side. It was 3 wide. It was 3x3 early on for several laps. We'll see if that happens again up here. You're still watching them. They're locked to glue door to door. The man up front, Steve Goschalk, Mike Motessi's there along with him. Matt LaCrosse, Trey Etzen and company. Out front, though, Steve's got this one.
Timothy Johnson is making the outside work all by himself. Let's see if he starts to drop back a little bit. We saw Shane Ewing working that outside all alone. E.J. O'Rourke is sitting third on the outside line, and the 7 car moves up, and man, oh man, well, who is that? Is that the 51 at Justin Fuller? Just said, no thank you, takes it to the outside, gets some help, and now they are 3 wide battling for the lead.
Tall Justin Fuller, Mr. Excitement, a man up top, and look at that, he's going to sing it down and low there. Trey Etzen is, but boy, I tell you, still 3x3 racing up front. We saw this before the last caution, and they were locked up like glue early on. Down that bad stretch, oh, they're making moves back in the back for some reason there. I don't know if it was a slower car or what.
Yeah, everyone sort of got fanned out. A couple people dropped below the double yellow. Didn't make any passes. No worries about that here. But up at the front, they are 3 wide for the lead. They are trying to get that going. Looks like the outside line is dying a little bit. But that middle line there, a push from the 7, could propel the middle line, past the 91 of Steve Gottschalk, who's holding the inside line.
Talladega, this is what it's all about. The side-by-side racing. The guys up front looking very good. You got Trey Etzen out front there, Steve Gottschalk, Mike Motessi. You got Justin Fuller. Man, this is pure excitement right now. You still got the field under a blanket. You got a little bit of pack way far back in the back there, probably by design, but everybody right now is just trying to get what they can and hang on. Not doing too much bump drafting at this moment.
It's been 2 laps since we went green. Shane Ewing is all the way up to 14th the last time we went past the flag stand, and he is moving up even further. That car is still just as fast and just as much in contention to win. Looks like he's going to be in the top 10 after only 3 laps under green. Started all the way back in 35th.
He is already up to 10th. He has definitely got a fast hot rod out there tonight. Shane Ewing does. Got caught up in a little bit of a wreck earlier on, but he is definitely making moves back up front with that 32. Steve Goschalk, Trey Etzen, Matt LaCrosse, Mike Motessi, and Justin Fuller all make up the top 5 for the moment. Here comes that top lane again, though, with Timothy Johnson. Going to try to see, and I think Shane Ewing jumped up there with him.
He did. The 28, the 32, and the 18 are all cruising that outside line. They are 3 cars strong, trying to push their way up to the front. Looks like the 18 is going to duck down to the middle line, but that outside line, don't count them out at all. Shane Ewing is fast. Timothy Johnson looks to be almost as quick. Those 2 could get up to the front here within a lap.
And you saw it earlier. They were able to utilize that outside lane. I mean, Shane Ewing was one of the best way up there in that high line up against the wall. And right now he's got Tim Johnson there in front of him. We'll see if he can push him to the front. But still, Steve Goschalk's the man out front with about a fender or so. He's got Trey Etzen there on his inside. Here comes that middle lane. What a run. Man, what a good bump draft there in the middle.
Mike Montesi on the outside. He jumped all the way to the top and in front of that 28. They are 3 wide, 3 deep for the lead here. That's a good move for the 7. Try and get up to the outside. When he gets clear, he'll jump down to the inside, the 28. Oh, they're wrecking at the front.
It's a big one. Wow.
That was a big, big wreck.
Go back on the replay, see if we can. That was huge. It happened up front here. 100% sure.
It was a bump draft gone wrong. The 52 just got into the back of the 51, and like we said, it lifts the back end of those cars up in the air. That 51 just had no control. His back end is up, and that caused that big wreck. I don't know if it was a checkup or what. Nobody's really at fault there. They're just racing, but we saw that. A tiny little touch to that back bumper. Got the whole rear end picked up. The front end of the 52 is gone. A lot of cars have some pretty heavy damage.
Yeah, you just see, man, cars getting all tore up. Look from Timothy Johnson's point of view here. Slams the wall pretty hard there. Wow. A lot of tore up race cars.
And is that the next question I have is that the only big one of the night? You usually see one, but for it to happen at lap 21, I don't know. There could be more here as these guys get aggressive towards the end, but that is... Oh, we got a car spun around backwards on pit road. Looks like the 44. He got
just
that
watching some of these replays here because now the 4 car just got sent end over end. Wow.
And look at this. The Ryan brothers are second and third. Tommy Ryan is in first. Tommy Ryan is your leader. Jeff Ryan in second. And Steve Gottschalk survived the wreck and leaves the pits in third. But, oh my goodness, that's something
a
you don't want to see.
lot of cars getting tore up in this one.
We're seeing in the driver's chat from Justin Fuller, he's apologizing. I just find this funny. Hey Mark, sorry for hitting you post-wreck. I didn't have any front tires to stop.
Wow.
So a lot of damage to these cars. And like we were talking about, those tires went flying off, and he couldn't stop the car. Physically could not stop the car because there's no front tires. But if I'm a competitor... Oh, go ahead, sorry.
Oh, no, but you're right. I mean, that's it. Nothing he can do.
Absolutely nothing you can do at all. But the one thing I don't want to see if I'm a competitor here, one is a huge wreck that takes out a bunch of people. You never want to see that. But 2, even worse than that, is 2 brothers working together up at the front. You don't want to see that if you're a competitor, because teammates working together, that's one thing. But brothers working together, that's a whole different category. You know, these guys have been running together for years. They know each other better than anybody else. These 2 together running at the front, I'm excited to see this. I know I've done a lot of
wrecks, man. I'm gonna tell you, that was amazing.
Absolutely right, man. And just a tiny little bump to that back bumper. Wasn't even like he just ran through him. It was just a hit to the back bumper. Got the rear end jacked up, spun him to the right, and took out all these cars. Nobody really did anything wrong. It wasn't anything malicious. It was just one of those things where it happened, and you got to just go with it. As the Ryan brothers both hit, could be a little bit of strategy here. They want to run the back and avoid these big wrecks.
Yeah, I mean, right there, like you just said, was that's the big one. We always say it's not if, it's when the big one happens at Talladega, and right there was a perfect example why they were not trying to bump draft too much, but it looked like they just got a little close on that one, and contact and just chaos from there. Took out a lot of good cars, and we saw a lot of different good angles there, and you saw sheet metal all over the place.
I'm wondering how many cars took a little bit of extra damage from all that debris flying around. That is something to certainly consider. And with this new damage model, we also have to consider that these cars may have damage that we can't see. They could have suspension damage that looks like the car is perfectly fine, but nobody really knows how it's going to react until it's out there on track. Even the driver. They could hit the gas and start going at about 200 miles an hour, and all of a sudden, that front right wheel, let's say, isn't on there as solidly as they thought, and they could lose control. We don't really know. I think you and I up here are experiencing just as many wild cards. We don't know what to expect out here with this new damage model because there could be damage to these cars that we can't even see.
Yeah, I mean, from a lot of those hits right there, it tore up a lot of things. You can see the tires kind of flopping around everywhere. They kind of stayed on the car pretty good, but you're right. I'm with you on that. You might not be able to see all damage or anything, but this is definitely going to shake up the field here. It's still Trey Etzen and Steve Goschak, but you got Corey Chester, Chad Cole up there now, Patrick Colby, and Anthony DeBarro up to 8th, and Gael Brooks and Don Runkle there in the 10th place. So a lot of these guys who have not won here yet, tonight could be the night you put it in victory lane.
Absolutely right. This race is such a wild card. We saw Nick Cohan in a lap 1, turn 1 wreck. He's all the way up to 6th place now. And Patrick Colby started all the way back in 33rd. He's up to 7th. That's a lot of movement there for just a couple laps here, as we are on lap 24 now. But anyone could win this race. Shane Ewing, he's all the way back now in 16th. We've seen him be strong all night. You really just, it's too early to call, I think. It's too early to say, as we're a little over a third of the way through this race. But there's a lot of strong cars out there. It's just going to be a matter of getting to the end of this race and surviving. It's not, I say it every week. It's not the fastest car that wins the race. It's the first one across the line. So you just got to be patient, you got to be smart, and you have to make it to the end.
Hey, there you go. Well, usually a lot of people ask me what my favorite driver is. I always tell them the guy wins.
You are absolutely right, because then you're never disappointed. I mean, I remember going to races with my dad when I was younger, back when I was first getting into NASCAR, and my brother and I would ask him, who do you root for? Who's your favorite driver? He goes, who's leading? Oh, is that 48 car? I like him. Or, is that Kevin Harvick? Yeah, he doesn't sound too bad. And it's just whoever's in first place. And you know what? He had a great time because he was never disappointed.
Safe bet. There you go. Why not? Hey. Right now, though, been a good one. Trey Etzen, though, he's been up front most of the night here with Steve Goschak. They were able to avoid that big one right there. A lot of good drivers up front got taken out, which that's just Talladega. I know as a driver you're disappointed. Yeah, you come in here with high hopes to win, but it is a plate track race, and there's really not a lot you can do. Once it starts a big one like that, and you get caught up in it, you got nowhere to go.
You're absolutely right, and that's the big question for a lot of these drivers here is how do you avoid that wreck? And there's two dominant philosophies. You either stay all the way at the back, and you're just way behind all the wrecks. Maybe you sit 3, 4, 5 seconds behind the lead pack, or you want to be out front. That way you're ahead of the wreck. And it just comes down to people's personal preference, but then you get guys that are sort of stuck in the middle, the guys that want to try and get to the front, but there can only be one leader, And you've got, let's say, 10 guys that all want to run that strategy of stay in front ahead of the wreck. Well, that could cause a wreck in and of itself because they're all racing hard for the lead. And you got guys, and it's frustrating for drivers to run all the way at the back. It's frustrating, it's boring to just be 5 seconds behind everything else. It's the smart move, the safe move, it's the easiest move. But at the same time, you're sort of sitting there going, boy, I sure hope there's a caution. And if there isn't, then really, you're in rough shape.
And you mentioned that too right there, as we just saw that wreck there, is actually that happened around about, I'd say about the 3rd or 4th place position. And
yeah, they were racing for the lead.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So really, it's a tough call. And like you said, I'm with you on it, though. If you're out front, usually it's a safe bet unless you just get turned by the guy behind you. But if you're out front, usually it's a safe bet. If you're, I'm going to say well back in the back there, usually you can avoid the wrecks and so forth and so on. But, yeah, a lot of times, as we saw right there, hey, you're up there racing in the front, not thinking nothing about it. Next thing you know, you're sideways looking the wrong way.
Yeah, it's one of those things. You're just out there running at the front. There can only be one leader. And, yeah, it was racing for the lead. That middle line there, just a bump, a tiny bump to the back bumper, caused that massive wreck. Nobody did anything wrong. Nobody did anything dumb. Nobody did anything malicious. It was just a tiny bump to the back bumper caused that big wreck. And I think we're going to see a lot of guys sort of that survived that wreck cool down a little bit, Just ride along. It's only lap 26, and you got 70 laps. And you got to make it to the end if you're going to have a chance to win this. Just chill out. 15 laps to go. You start making your way towards the front, and then you go and you start fighting for the lead. But until then, if I'm out there, one of these drivers from maybe 5th on back, I'm just going to go back, find some friends, and just relax a little bit.
There you go. So we'll see what happens up front here. His lights off on the pace car. And Tim, I know which angle you're talking about out there. It actually is into rotation with a bunch of the other angles, so I can't kind of just pull it out by itself. But it'll come back up there, and you can check it out and whatnot. You get set to go back. Green flag racing. Here we go. Trey Etzen, Steve Goschak up front. Well, what's this do to your mentality of the driver? You just saw the big one there. Now what goes through your mind?
That depends on what position you're in. If I'm, on the front row, Steve Gottschalk, Trey Eidson, I'm sort of going, okay, I need to stay where I'm at. I need to defend my position. Maybe I won't throw a block. If they get a run, no big deal. I'll let them by. It's only lap 26. But if I'm, I don't know, let's say Matt Lacrosse, Nick Cohan, Patrick Colby, sort of in the middle there, I'm probably going to drop to the bottom on the backstretch, go to the back, and just ride it out for another 30 laps or so. Let everything fly. Just let them do their thing. But I want to be at the end of this race. I want to survive.
Well, let's see if they take the device here. So out front, man, Trey Etzen and Steve Goschak. We'll see. You got Chad Cole up there. Green flags in the air. We're back at it again here at Talladega.
Shane Ewing is about, he's maybe restarting 12th, I would say. And 14th, excuse me. But we've seen him want to get to the front here, and I'm interested to see if he's going to take it 3 wide at the start. We see a couple guys touch the apron there. That's always concerning. But some cars are a bit slow on speed. Looks like the 00 is really off the pace.
That's Don Runkle Jr. right there. Unfortunately, might have some damage on that car. Just have to keep an update on him. Or he just might want to see if he wants to fall back to the back like you were talking about before. But that inside lane looks like he's trying to make waves up front here. Trey's getting pushed out. There's Steve Goschak wants that lead. Here comes Nick Cohan, though. Don't count that guy out. He's definitely fast. And there's the 20, the 21, 27. Anthony DeBarro. They're teammates, by the way.
They are teammates. I believe it says a couple times on that 27 car, Nick sucks.
Yeah.
The number 21
That's an old
car.
one. I'll have to tell you about that one. That was that's an old running joke. If you go back on the channel last year, we did an all-star race here for the Sim500. Actually, it's one of the premiere videos. If you go on the channel there, I showed it up. But it's the all-star race, and Nick Cohan had what looked like a Snickers car. And I kept saying, that's a cool Snickers paint job. What I didn't realize is where it said Snickers at, or was supposed to say. I didn't really catch it until about a little bit into the broadcast there, and actually said Nick sucks. Well, it did, and I thought, wait a minute, he's actually doing pretty good. He was, actually, and then as soon as I said that, he spun coming into, he crashed coming into pit road, and I went, all right, never mind, forget what I said.
Oh man, it's a curse for broadcasters. When you sort of single someone out, something bad always happens to them. I've had it happen to me when I'm racing and broadcasters mention it. I just have like some freak accident and I'm going, what the heck was that? How did that wreck possibly happen? And then I go and I watch the replay of the race and they're like, oh, take a look at that 24 car, Jeff McConey, and then boom, something crazy happens.
Yeah, we call it
with
broadcaster jinx. That's what we call it on that one.
So, I don't know. We hold a lot of power here. We're sort of the judge, jury, and executioner of how people run. So everyone likes their name being mentioned on a broadcast, but maybe we should be a little careful here.
Absolutely, that's what I'm saying. But that's where the Nick thing comes from. It's kind of old running joke, so to speak here, and it goes between the teammates. Obviously, Anthony DeBarro is one of the teammates out there at Dizzy Motorsports. As a matter of fact, Nick Cohan just pulled off an awesome win. They did a 1-2-3 finish this past Monday, Dizzy Motorsports did. So it was an awesome night for that team to pull that off, and Nick Cohan actually put in victory lane. He's trying for the double win this week here. So can he put in victory lane this Monday? Can he put it in victory lane tonight?
Well, I think if anyone's got something to say about it, it is that 32 of Shane Ewing, as he's sort of trying to work that outside. He's got the 93 with him. He's been fast by himself, and with some help behind him, that could be a big advantage. He's going to draft right up to that 47 car, get right up as close as he can without actually hitting it, because we know that causes wrecks now. And then he'll probably take it to the outside in turn 2, I would guess, maybe on the exit turn 2, and try to make this third line work.
I've got to give my hats off. A lot of these guys have been very patient so far. They're still side by side, locked up there in the front with Nick Cohan outside, Steve Goschalk down low. But Anthony and Chad Cole both have not tried to get up there and push the issue and try to do a lot of bump drafting. I mean, they're still early on in. We're at, what, lap 31?
Almost halfway.
Yeah, almost halfway. You're right there. So they definitely got a little bit to go. Just be patient. They already seen the big one there. Don't want to get taken out here early. So a lot of these guys are giving room there behind them.
Everyone's being nice. Everyone's being careful. You got to just sort of go out there and be patient until the end. I think we're going to see things kick up right around lap 55 or so would be my guess. That's when I know I personally would start making a run to the front. So keep an eye out with about 15 laps to go. That's when guys will start making their runs and fighting for the lead.
So far, so good. Still double file all the way back through the whole pretty much the entire field there. As you see, a couple guys just jockeying around in the back, but still locked up like glue up front here. Now, Corey Chester looking pretty good there. Like you said, with Shane Hewing in the mix there. Matt LaCrosse back there. Kevin Brown. Beeps Machine on the outside of the top 10 looking in. E.J. O'Rourke still up there. Josh Parker, haven't mentioned his name tonight, but he's trying to make moves to the front.
Got to work your way all the way up to the front. I think everyone's sort of chilled out a little bit since that last big wreck. We're not seeing guys 3 wide, 3 deep like we were before, all fighting for the lead. It seems like everyone has sort of calmed down a little bit. Just 2 wide, as I say that as they go 3 wide in the back, E.J. O'Rourke. But he's going to try and work his way in. And they've got everyone just sort of calm down a little bit. Everyone's just going to ride around and not get involved in the big one, because we've seen what happens, and we saw a lot of good cars taken out.
Well, we saw EJ up there earlier on. He had a fast machine, and he's hanging out in the back right now. So maybe he's like, well, let me hang out back here towards the end, and I'll make my way to the front. Some guys like being in the front side the entire race. Some like being in the back. Timothy Johnson's another one there. Yeah, he was able to get that car back out there. Remember, he got a little damage there earlier on from that last wreck.
If he did, it doesn't look like it's impacting him too much. It looks like about, I would say about 12 cars in total have taken damage. There's 12 cars that are not on the lead lap, and most likely due to damage. We see the 28, Timothy Johnson, who was running up near the front. He's now a lap down. We know Mark Arthur in the 18 took a lot of damage when he got run into by someone with no tires, no front tires. So a couple guys have taken some heavy damage. I wouldn't say they're out of it yet if they're, a lap or 2 down, because you can get back to the lead lap that way. But we've got 26 cars currently on the lead lap. But really, this front pack here, these guys that are 2 wide, these are the ones that are, if the race, ended right now, these are the ones that have the most potential, I would say. But don't count out the Rhines. Don't count out really anyone that's sitting a little bit further back until the checkered flag flies.
Absolutely right there. Saw a little bit of overview shot right there. I call it the blimpy cam. So there you go. It kind of showed you the facility a little bit, just how far apart the guys are. And an amazing shot. But up front, and you still got Nick Cohan and Steve Goschalk locked up side by side. I think you're right there, though, Jeff. What I'm seeing right now is these guys definitely have calmed it down a little bit, want to be patient. I think, lack of a better word, maybe a little nervous of what this car will do now.
I would have to agree. Like I said, we have a lot of wild cards up here when we're announcing this race. But imagine being behind the wheel with this new damage model. You got one practice session earlier. Maybe you've run some, races during the week. It's week 13, so you're running like the tube twister and things like that. But those unofficial races. But you really don't know what to expect with these cars. And when you're behind the wheel, you got to be really careful.
Absolutely. I mean, they just brought out the update, I think yesterday. So you're right. They've only had 1 day to really test this thing. So not a lot of drivers, even on iRacing, unless you just went out there and made your own style race and done it. I would say a lot of these guys might be the first time that they've been out here. And again, talked to Jose Gonzalez there before the race. He was giving some insights on what some of these drivers were feeling. And it's just what you said. If you get up there and hit them wrong on a bump draft, it lifts that rear end, and it lifts yours up too, and you just definitely do not have any traction and can send those cars around real easily.
It's very easy to lose these cars, you know, and especially before, it was very easy for these cars to spin out. I feel like now that these cars, they have a little bit, you know, they're more drivable. It seems they made a lot of upgrades and adjustments to these cars, but you really just got to hang on to it here at Talladega as soon as you feel that bump on the back bumper.
And that's the thing. I mean, bump drafting's always been a thing here. We're going to see it before the end of it. I mean, right now they're being very patient, but you give them about the last couple laps, these guys will be leaning on each other like no other to try to make their positions up front. They won't care at that point. But that's just you're going for all the marbles there. But being very patient here at lap 38. Lap 70 here at Talladega for the Nemesis Lab K&N Series presented by the Sim500. Pretty much has been a pretty clean one. We've only had 2 cautions tonight. First one was about a single car, and that second one there obviously was the big one. Well, and it took out a lot of good cars here.
Yeah, a lot of good cars taking down that first wreck, and like we said earlier, it seems like everyone sort of cooled it down a little bit, seeing that, a little bit of, I wouldn't say fear, but know, maybe they rethought their strategy here, but that Peeps machine, it is still clean. It's still running near the front. That is definitely a car to keep an eye on.
Yeah, we always love pointing out the Peeps car. There's a car on Monday night that I love. Kevin Brown there races in it. It's a Twinkie car. It's basically painted up like the Twinkies, and I love Twinkies. So it's kind of like the Peeps machines, one of our favorites here, and my Monday night, I love the Twinkie Mobile.
You know, I can honestly say, I have never once had a Twinkie.
Man, what's wrong with you?
I don't know. I've just never had the opportunity. Growing up, my mother would say, oh, that stuff is junk. And then now that I'm out living on my own at college, you know, if I have the choice between Twinkies and Goldfish, well, I got to go for the Goldfish.
Well, I mean, she ain't wrong. I mean, I agree with her. It is junk food, but it's still a Twinkie, and I mean, a Twinkie.
Yeah, I had a rough childhood, a very rough childhood. I never once got Twinkies. I wasn't allowed to watch certain cartoons sometimes. It was a very rough upbringing in a fantastic home. I have nothing but terrible things to say about it, as you can tell.
Well, now you know what you gotta do. You gotta go out to the nearest Walmart or whatever stores around your area, and you gotta buy you a Twinkie, man. You gotta try one before you kick over, which I know you're done. It don't happen anytime soon.
I sure hope it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But you gotta try one, and there you go. So, oh man, but wow, it is cool. It's a Twinkie car. I know you heard me and Jose talking about it because I made a reference to it because I actually got in a wreck, and I said we just got twinked, and one of the guys out in the chat, he cracked up when I said it.
Oh man, I can imagine. Yeah, I was listening in on that conversation, and I was eating some goldfish before the race to hold me over until this one ends, and I can make some dinner. So, oh man, the irony there. But they are running towards the front. Looks like that inside line. We got a bit of a 2-car breakaway, but Nick Cohan is hanging strong on the outside of that 17 car. He's got teammate Anthony DeBarro right there on his back bumper, and those guys are making it work. Third on the outside line, you got Patrick Colby, followed right by Shane Ewing, who's having a great run. He spun out. He had a lot of front end damage that we were pretty concerned about, and he's worked his way up. He's sitting fourth on the outside line. It seems like he's just waiting and timing his move, and he's got the speed to make these moves. We know it. So I think he's just sitting and waiting right now, which is the smart racer's approach here. Lap 42, we're over halfway, but not quite close enough to start pushing for the lead and making a fight.
And you're right. I mean, a lot of these guys just being patient is what I'm seeing right now. I mean, it's like Nick Cohan. He is content to stay up there along with Anthony DeBarro behind him. It's still, as a driver, it is frustrating to be side by side and knowing that you're kind of just locked here. But again, you're being very, I mean, you got to go back to a guy like sitting there in fifth, Patrick Colby. I give him a shout out there. He's actually doing an outstanding job here, but in the position he is right now, he knows there's nowhere he can go. I mean, he's just kind of riding here. The good thing is, you know, Shane Ewing there behind him is not pushing the envelope, you know, too much or pushing the issue there a lot. So he's able to just kind of ride in the position that he is.
And that seems to be the smart choice here. I don't know. What lap, though? That's the next question. Is what lap do you start pushing it again? We see the 36, the Peeps car, very hard to miss. He sort of dropped back about 10 car lengths and is now driving back up towards the 32. You almost wonder if he is just seeing how well he can get a draft and get going, as it looks like we have some green flag pit stops starting now.
Ray Edson, the first man on there, and he's down there alone. That's something you definitely don't want to have happen, is going pit road alone, and he was the only one going, so that's going to really, really hurt. But you're right. You know, these guys right now are probably testing the water, see what kind of run they can get, as we're going to see those runs later on. Now, you asked about what time. It looks like a lot of guys are positioning themselves down low to make their pit stop here. I'm going to say if they make this stop, it could be the last one or the only one they'll have to make. They should be able to make it all the way. But you mentioned about what lap do you make your move. Normally, I would say, you know, about 5 to go or so. I don't know, with the way these cars are handling tonight and the way the bump draft is so dangerous. I don't know if you just don't wait to maybe 2 or 1 to go here tonight.
What we do know for sure is it's going to be a crazy run to the end. That is without a doubt. We see guys starting to get down to the inside. It could be a sign of green flag pit stops to come.
Yeah, we saw that right there. Steve Goschak, Chad Cole, Nick, and Anthony, they actually backed off to go down low. Still got Patrick Colby up high there, along with Steve and so forth, Shane Ewing high. We'll see if they are able to get down low here. I got a feeling we should see pit stops here in the next couple laps.
If I'm one of these drivers, I'm going to try and stay out as long as I can, save as much fuel as possible, and just, you know, run the car empty almost. Get it out there for as long as you possibly can. Pit late, and then take 4 tires on your stop, fill it absolutely full to the brim with fuel, and know that you can make it to the end. We're right on the cusp of being able to make it to the end on fuel. I think the later you pit, you know, some of these guys, if they pit within the next 2 or 3 laps, they should be able to make it to the end by my quick calculations. I can't guarantee it. I'm not positive. But keep an eye on that, because there could be some guys that run out of fuel if they pitted a bit early.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. You saw Shane Ewing duck down to the inside. I got a feeling that a lot of these guys are trying to set themselves up to come on pit road. And here they come. It's a big, not a huge amount of them. It's just a couple of them. And that's the thing about the green flag stops, is you're going to see, you know, I think smaller packs come in. Eventually you're going to see the big pack.
Right, we're just going to see one lap all of a sudden where everyone ducks in, and it's going to be absolute mayhem. If I'm a driver, I usually try to pit a lap after that and hope that there's a caution entering the pits. You don't want someone to wreck, but there's a good chance that a caution could happen there when everyone dives in all at once. It takes one person making a mistake, you know, pushing it a little too far, and all of a sudden you got a big wreck, and if you catch that caution, you're in good shape.
Well, you see right there, they're putting Trey Etzen a lap down. He came in on pit road by himself, which is usually something you try not to do. I mean, he's going to get that lap back, but it's still going to put him out there kind of a sitting duck, unless he gets hooked up with somebody. I don't know what's going to happen on that end. I don't know why he would have came in like he did. Maybe he thought somebody was coming in along with him, but still, got side-by-side racing. I don't know if those other guys on the top lane are going to drop down here. Feels right now, though, everybody's staying out.
I'm almost wondering if it wasn't some sort of other issue that caused that car to pit. I'm really not sure, but awfully strange for him to come in. Maybe the fuel window opened, and he felt like it was the right time to pit, even though he goes a lap down. But as we're here on Race Chatter, that guys are going to start pitting now. Here comes a couple cars, but not everyone. Steve Gottschalk is coming in hot. Oh, I think he got it slowed down in time, but it was awful close.
Yeah, you got a lot of runoff here, too, at Talladega. So, hey,
awful close there. It's hard to get down to, you know, pit road speed, because you're going down to 55 miles an hour from nearly 200, about 195 miles an hour coming off turn 4, and you're trying to get there as fast as you can. Man, it's tough.
And the good thing about that is, though, is like I said, you do have a pretty big runoff here. So you not like most tracks where you come straight off turn 4, boom, you got to make that stop. Here you got a pretty good, you know, you could run and get the car slowed down in time.
Right, we see the teammates split. Looks like Nick Cohan has come into pit earlier and is now, where is he on track? Yeah, he's running out there with Shane Ewing and Anthony DeBarro. Josh Parker. Oh, I was looking at the 23 car and thinking, man, that was a 27. My bad there. Well, that whole theory goes out the window. The teammates stick together, and they are now working with the 32 of Shane Ewing.
Patrick Colby's the only one that has not made a pit stop. I don't know if he just got caught up high or what, but right now he is on the lead. He's the leader out here. Josh Parker right there along with him. Chad Coleman, EJ O'Rourke. So let's see what Patrick's going to do here pit-wise.
If I'm him, stay out, work with the guys around you, and looks like they are coming in, but Patrick Colby is going to come in, get it woed up in time, and that car that is left out there, that is going to be, that is a lap car.
Yes, that's Trey Edson. That's what I'm saying. Trey Edson came in by himself.
Right.
And he's going to get left. Now, obviously, he's probably going to get back on the lead lap, but he is a lonely guy out there. And that's a lonely feeling to be out there without any help at a plate track.
You're absolutely right, and it's awful concerning because you're wondering where, you know, how you're going to possibly make this work. We see Steve Gottschalk making a big run, pushing his way through the field. They dodged the 23 car of Josh Parker as he's sort of getting back up to speed, it looks like. But coming back around here, your new leader is going to be Nick Cohan. Yeah,
they came up on Josh Parker like a freight train and had to split him right there for a moment, but still back up front, it's Nick, Matt Lacrosse, Anthony DeBarro.
Oh, car's wrecking! Car's wrecking in turn 2.
Who it is? It popped up yet.
Looked like Scott Walter. Looks like everyone saved it, but he was sort of getting up into the wall. Gael was involved. Oh, no, it wasn't Scott Walter, excuse me.
Gael's going off on the side track for some reason. Oh, he just pulled off the track.
Yeah, he was the car that was involved there. He just got up into the wall, rode along it, and then, like I said, towards the beginning of the race, you sort of wreck coming off the wall here. And just other cars involved, a bit of net code. Gael's car has a lot of damage. Looks like he just pulled it off to the side. Better safe than sorry, and is taking it to the pits.
Richard Beasley was the one who tore up bad. I'm going to rewind it. Oh, yeah, he got a lot of damage on that car. Look, his tires are all flopping.
Absolutely right. As we see a little bit of jostling for the lead. Steve Gottschalk looked like he was going to go to the inside of that 45 car. Matt Lacrosse and said, maybe not. Maybe not the best move on lap 52. They've still got 18 more circuits around this track. And we've got teammates Nick Cohan and Anthony DeBarro sitting on the outside. You know, you don't need to take it 3 wide. You sort of need to just stay behind the guy in front of you, wait another couple laps, and make sure you make a smart move towards the end and try and come out of here with a victory.
Well, you would think that green flag pit stops would split the field up, but no dice there as Nick Cohan, Matt Lacrosse, they're still stacked up 2 by 2 by 2 up front. So you got a whole pack of machines back here. And like you said, I think this is going to bring us to the end here. That pit stop was what they needed. A lot of 2-tire stops there too, so getting all the fuel they can. But, well, got about 17 left here.
17 laps to go, and they are still 2 by 2. Shane Ewing sitting 3rd on the outside line. Don't forget earlier that we saw him go 3 wide on the outside and make passes by himself. No one behind him, nobody helping him. He drove the outside all by his lonesome. So that could be something. Coming to the last lap here, going into turns 3 and 4, make a move to the outside all by yourself. You don't need anybody else if you're that fast. That could be something to move, a big move here, something that could win him the race.
Yeah, Matt Lacrosse right now is out front by a nose over Nick Cohan as they come across here. Like Nick's got him that time. Behind him, we got Anthony DeBarro, Steve Goschak and company. Nick's going to lead that lap there by about a half car or so. Shane Ewan still in the mix, man. That's a good one.
We see Josh Parker going to the outside. We see Tommy Ryan on the outside. The 8 and Jeff Ryan as well. Looks like the outside line is starting to form. Who's going to go with them? I doubt the 27 is going to ditch his teammate, but Shane Ewing, he doesn't have any ties to anyone. He could make that move, but it's too late as Anthony DeBarro hangs his teammate out to dry in the middle. He's got Shane Ewing going up now, but Anthony DeBarro goes to the outside. Man, that's awful early to be leaving your teammate.
Well, you know, it could be by design, too, because Anthony could get up there and actually help his teammate, and I believe that's what he did. He could actually slow down the pace of that outside lane there, which would actually, in return, that's what it looks like it did, help, but they didn't think about Shane Ewing. That guy says, hey, look, y'all can play teammates all day long. I'm coming up here to win this thing.
Yeah, you can play your games, you can do whatever you want, but I'm going out here and I'm going to run the front. That's what he wants to do. They are now 3 wide, 3 deep still. 3 wide, 3 deep here. Nick Cohan is the leader, but he's sitting in that middle line. Is he going to move to the bottom? Is he going to try and block the outside? That is yet to be seen, but that outside line is moving, and that could be where the next big run comes from.
You know Shane and him loves that outside lane there, so he's been up top all night long. I'm just wondering about the damage on the front end of that car. I know it doesn't look bad, but it's still aerodynamically is not as sound as a lot of those machines up there. And we might see it here with no car in front of him. It'll be like a brick wall, and he just doesn't look like he has the pull that he had earlier in the race.
You're absolutely right. We talked about unseen damage. It could be a factor here. That car was absolutely dominant on the outside earlier. Seems like he's struggling a little bit. He's keeping pace, certainly not in any bad position whatsoever. He gets a good push from behind, and all of a sudden he'll be flying. But a little bit of unseen damage, perhaps, is impacting that car. He's got to do a little bit of side drafting here if he wants to be competitive at the front. Don't count him out, but now it could be a different story.
And I always say you don't have to pass the guy. You just got to get your nose out front there in front of him. Now he'll be in a good position there. He actually can push there. The car in front of him there, Steve Goschak, so they might be able to make a run to the front here. They still have Anthony DeBarro up high. That 20 machine there, that's Chad Coleman, out there in front of him. Nick Cohan in the middle. Down low, you still got Matt Lacrosse.
13 laps to go, and it's starting to get dicey here. That 20 car of Chad Coleman is leading the outside line now. Josh Parker has worked his way to the inside, leading the inside line. He's now even with Nick Cohan, but man, it's starting to get dicey, and with 13 laps to go, we might not be done wrecking yet. We have to be careful.
Yeah, I just got to give a hats off to Josh Parker there. He was the one way up high when Anthony DeBarro went up there and cut him off. And now, how in the world did he get way down to the bottom and then sneak up there and take the lead?
That is $1 million question that I cannot give you the answer to, except for saying good driving, great awareness here at a plate track. Shane Ewing gets loose and another big wreck. They are not done wrecking here.
Oh, caution's out. We got to see what happened on this one.
I've got a theory that involves bump drafting. We'll see how correct I am.
You're absolutely right. Shane Ewing went for a bump draft, and that car just instantly came around.
Oh, man. We see the 93 involved heavily. He's the one that got sent around. Tommy Ryan, a bit involved, and the 27 got nailed into the wall. A lot of front right damage for that car. Shane Ewing doesn't look like the car is too bad, but a little bit more damage to that car, just sort of slap it on at this point. Man, oh, man.
But, yeah, it was bump drafting right there. I mean, it's what we saw. And you know, all night long, that's been it right there. I mean, that car just went violently straight to the left and got into Kevin Brown. Kevin Brown hit the wall very, very, very hard right there. I mean, that car just went straight to the left loose, and then Kevin Brown just nowhere to go. Luckily, that was not a big one right there, but unfortunately, too, Anthony DeBarro getting slammed up against the wall also.
Look at that right front tire of his.
I saw that. All messed up.
Very strange here. I'm not sure if it's damaged per se, but
who knows? I've seen some
we'll
wild
find
stuff
out.
All night, yeah.
10 laps to go here at Talladega Super Speedway as we see another big wreck caused by bump drafting as these guys are trying to get used to these new cars.
You know, and we've talked about it all night long, and actually before the race, some of the drivers were talking about it, that it's going to be a dangerous thing here to bump draft. I mean, it sent them, and you saw right there, bump draft by Shane Ewing, and instantly that car just shot straight to the left like you just lost the whole rear end of it. And unfortunately, Kevin Brown, no place to go there, and Anthony DeBarro getting slammed up against the wall. Let's see how much damage he has on the 21. He's still running right now anyways.
For now, a little bit foreboding there. For now, they are still running. But 10 laps to go here, 10 more times around the Talladega Super Speedway. Man, this race is not over yet. We've got quite a lot to see. Josh Parker somehow wormed his way to the front, is sitting in first, excuse me. Steve Gottschalk has fallen back a little bit to 6th. I'd say the biggest mover of the race right now, though, is that 23 of Josh Parker, 27th to 1st over these 61 laps turned so far. Man, that's pretty crazy. But Jeff Ryan is now running without his brother / teammate, Tommy, who went into pit and probably get some damage fixed. He took a hard hit to the right side.
Yeah, and right now, just I'm looking at Anthony DeBarro's car. He does got some fenders messed up on it. We'll just see how much that affects him when we go back green here. But Josh Parker, Nick Cohan out front, Chad Coleman there, Matt LaCrosse, and Steve Gottschalk makes up the top 5 for the moment. Like you just said, now we should have one attempt at a green-white checkered here. So if it actually comes down to that, you know, because these yellows are pretty long.
You're right, and that's a lot of time for drivers to just sit and think. It's about a minute and a half, 2 minutes each time around.
Yes, it is. Yeah, and you know, I think we did it one time. We an average caution here, close to almost 10 minutes long.
My goodness.
Well, you got to look. If you count in, it's usually anywhere between 4 to 5 laps. And like you just said, that's well over a minute. So by the time they get around, sometimes it can be a little bit longer by the time they clean everything up. So, yeah, around about 8 minutes or so, I'd say.
Well, you sort of just got to sit and wait when you're driving that car. You're sitting there and you're thinking, what can I do? What do I need to do over the next 10 laps? 9 laps coming to the green flag, or 9 laps coming to the line right now, excuse me. But that's tough. The one thing you don't want to do as a driver is, as crazy as it sounds, is think. You'll get in your own head. You'll psych yourself out so easily. You know, you want to just get in your groove, drive, and just click off laps. That's what you want to do. You want to just, focus on driving and not have to think about anything else.
At this point, and you talking about it as a driver, you've seen it all night long, and you know the danger now of basically the bump draft. And we've always said there's certain places you shouldn't do it, going in and out of turns, in and out of tri-oval. But here, it don't matter straight away or any place on the track. And as a driver now, now you start questioning yourself. Okay, normally I would wait towards the end of this race, with a couple laps to go, and I just lean on the guy in front of me. I know I can't do that for a full lap around this place here without taking my own self out.
Exactly. You really don't know what to expect with these cars. And I know we've turned 62 laps so far. Guys turn laps in practice. That's a good indication for the night. But it's really not enough to have a solid idea of everything. We haven't seen these guys pushing the bar yet, really getting up close and bump drafting each other. we could see a wreck on I'm willing to bet we're going to see a wreck on the white flag lap here, purely because someone's going to bump draft and just, you got to try for it. You got to at least try. So you got to be careful. Not to say that these drivers are bad or unsafe or anything at all. This is one of the cleanest leagues with the best drivers that I've ever seen. But when it comes down to it, you got to bump draft because you're at Talladega. And just one tiny mistake here with cars that you've essentially never driven before, it's a lot to take in. It's a steep learning curve. We're just going to have to see what happens.
You talk about practice there. What I saw in practice was most of these guys, well, if they weren't out there testing out what it looks like to crash, when they were in a pack, they were not doing a lot of bump drafting. They were off each other. So, again, they didn't really try to see how well they could push these cars. If I was a driver, I would want to see in practice, let me see just how much I can push the envelope here and how much I can make, can lean on a guy before my own car gets out from under me. But I didn't see that a lot in practice. So you're right when you say they don't really know what to expect. Seen it a couple times tonight. We've seen what's been the consequences of it tonight. But that's got to go through your mind as a driver. You said it. They got to try it. They got to go for it. If you want to win, you got to go for it. But you got to know in the back of your mind, it's going to be risk versus reward.
Exactly right. And you're weighing it as you're coming around here on this 1 to green lap. This is where you start getting nervous. You get the butterflies in your stomach. You're coming to 7 laps to go. That's too long for, a quick shootout. It's also not long enough to sit back and wait. So it's sort of a very odd number of laps here to pack on top of the fact that they're driving essentially new cars, that they're on a bit older tires, and that they're really just learning. Every lap you turn with this new damage model and how the cars are reacting, you're learning. So with these 7 laps left when they take the green here, it's going to be very interesting to watch.
Yes, it is. And remember, we'll have one shot of the green-white checkered here. So you're right. It could be chaotic and wild as we're getting set to go back green. When they cross that line, should be 6 to go here tonight at Talladega. There we got Nick Cohan, yeah.
It's just a long drive around here, especially in this, the 1 to green lap. You are sitting there and you're just analyzing and you're thinking and you're psyching yourself out, and it's hard. It's hard doing that, and you're worried and everything else. You're thinking, that Josh Parker, he drove his way all the way up to the front. He was just weaving through traffic. We know he's fast and we know he's smart to be able to get through the traffic. You're wondering if you can rely on the guy behind you. You're wondering, who your teammates are and where they are, where your teammates are. And it's just a whole lot of thinking here, but you kind of got to just shuffle that away here as you're exiting turn 4. The pace car's about to pull off. You're making that long crawl down the front stretch at 60 miles an hour. It feels like a snail's pace, and that's highway speed. Right now, these cars are driving at highway speed, and it's just a long, slow crawl to the line till you get that green flag and you take off. And 7 more times around here, getting through lap 70, you got to just survive and get to the end.
You're right. As getting set to go back to green flag here, and I'm going to say something I normally wouldn't say. I think the leader has the advantage with this with the bump drafting the way it is tonight. Normally, I'd say a guy sitting about second, third place would be the one who could slingshot it up through there. But tonight, you put yourself in danger by doing that, and I think the leader has the advantage being out front if he can stay out there.
I would have to agree with that as we see cars going to the outside. Nick Cohan not getting any help from the guys behind him. They are 3 wide towards the front. Nick Cohan's hung out to dry in the middle. Just not enough speed to build a good run yet. See if he ducks down to the inside. He does, right behind Steve Gottschalk. With that 45, Matt Lacrosse has been near the front all night. They are 3 wide further back in the field. Everyone's trying to keep it clean. And everyone's just trying, if I'm out there, I'm trying to find my teammates. I'm trying to find out where they are and work with them to try and make a run to the front here. You don't have time to waste.
No, you don't. As time's winding down, laps are winding down here at Talladega. Out front, Josh Parker. Like I said, I feel like the leader right now is where you want to be. We've seen them locked up side by side most of the night. So I think the top 2 cars there, again, if you're sitting right behind where that 20 of Chad Coleman is, Chad Coleman at the moment, there's nothing he can do. You know, right now he's stuck. He can't go low. He can't go high. His only thing to do right now is to push Josh Parker to the front and try to see if he can't get him to win this race.
Right, you push the guy in front of you out to the front. If you're sitting there second on the inside line like he is, that 20 car is, you got to just push that guy as hard as you can, make sure he gets out front and gets a good run, and then try and seal it at the end. That's what you want to do coming to the checkered flag. But that outside line with Matt Lacrosse, man, they are strong. He's been out front all night. He's a force to be reckoned with. We see guys sort of fighting their way through the field. 5 laps to go here, though. It's starting to get late. You've sort of got to be one of the guys out front. I'd say if you're not sitting top 10 at the moment, you're in real trouble.
Yeah, like you said, it's plate track racing, and up front they're still locked up side by side. Lacrosse up high. You got Parker there. Now remember, they still got another lane. They can make something work very high up there. But a guy like Chad Coleman right now, and I'll even say Steve Goschalk, as long as they stay low where they're at, there's nothing they can do. They're stuck. Their position's their position. Now, they would love to get up there and battle for the win, but, you know, you can't. You can't go high. You can't pass below the yellow line. So where they're sitting at, that's it.
We see there's sort of a breakaway of the first 10 cars or so. Shane Ewing is trying to make that inside work. Talk about someone that's been just fighting back and just absolutely refusing to lose. Is that number 32 car sitting in 11th right now? And he's been fighting all night. That outside line is just staying dead even with the inside line, though, with Josh Parker leading that inside line as they get a bit shaky going into turn 3 there. Man, oh man, it's absolute mayhem, raining dogs and cats. Our pets' heads are falling off here in the next couple laps. 4 to go, coming to 3 to go. At Talladega, everyone wants to win it, but only one person can cross that line first.
Saw right there Chad Coleman, and I see what these guys are trying to do. They're inching up to the back bumpers slowly but surely. They're not getting those push runs to them and hitting the back end. They're being very patient. I think right now they're driving a little nervous. They know, and you saw Chad Coleman right there when he pushed up to the back end of Josh Parker. Instantly, that thing went almost sideways. I got a feeling it's in the back, it's in the psyche of a lot of these drivers. They know they can't get up there and lean on the back bumpers like they can. And we're seeing it because normally by now, these guys would be pushing for everything.
They all want to win this race. They all can win this race. I wouldn't count anyone out in that front pack yet. Shane Ewing is sort of at the tail end of it with Tommy Ryan. Both of those guys are strong plate track drivers. We know it. We've seen it. And coming here, 2 laps to go. They're coming to the white flag here after this lap. Man, oh man, this is where it's going to start getting crazy. And on that white flag lap, it's just whoever gets to that line first, it's going to be absolute mayhem.
Right now, as long as if they make it to the white flag, won't matter what happens at that point. But I am seeing a lot of patience built from a lot of these drivers. Chad Coleman knows he cannot get up there and lean on the back end, because at this point you would see these guys pushing for everything they were worth. But he understands he cannot get up there to the bumper of Josh Parker and just push him. Now maybe coming into the tryover the last time, he might try it. But right now, and you see him, he pushed a little bit there and got him a little wiggly. White flag's out.
Matt Lacrosse is stuck on the outside line. He got shuffled out. Jeff Ryan is going to try and come up and help him out. But man, oh man, that inside line, Josh Parker is looking strong. I just don't know if anyone's going to be able to make something crazy happen here. That middle line, outside line now is really going to have something awesome happen. Get a really strong push that doesn't result in a car going around. They have a chance at this. They are coming out of turn 4. Josh Parker with the advantage, but it is certainly far from over as they are coming off a turn 4. We really don't know what to expect here. If we're going to see a move low or a push high, anything could happen. They wreck towards the back, but Josh
Parker's going to win it.
Parker is going to cross the line first.
And he's going to spin doing it.
Lots of cars are going to spin doing it. Oh, my goodness.
Josh Parker's going to put it in victory lane as they came across the line, and he's going to come out with a tore-up machine, too, matter of fact. But Chad Cole's going to come up in second. Chad Coleman's going to end up there in third. What a finish to this one. And you saw right there towards the end of that race, there was nothing. They knew they could not lean on each other, and you saw it. Chad Coleman got as close as he could, but that's about all he could do without wrecking himself and everybody else. Just a good heads-up racing by all these drivers.
And it's absolutely amazing that they kept it clean. Huge props, we cannot say enough, for these drivers for keeping it clean until the end. It's hard to do. Like we've been saying all night, they don't really know how these cars are reacting when they get touched with bump drafting and everything else. It's like driving a brand new car almost, and everyone did a great job. Very respectful race. Absolutely amazing racing out here tonight for 70 laps at Talladega Superspeedway.
Absolutely. Let's bring up third place man Chad Coleman. Let's get a word with him.
Chad Coleman, this is Jeff up here in the booth. You got me?
Yeah, I got you.
Well, congratulations on a fantastic run out there from 24th all the way up to 3rd. But tell us, we saw everyone struggling with pushing here, not being able to really bump draft the people. How were you approaching these last couple laps? Were you willing to put that bumper to the 23 and test it and just hope it didn't send them around? Or what's going through your mind as you're driving these cars that are, completely different than how they were before? Just give us a little insight into that.
Luckily, got paired up on the bottom with a buddy of mine that I've known forever and raced with forever. And I figure unless I just hooked him outright and turned him around, that he can hang on to the bumps I was giving him. So that paid off a lot, because right there at the end, I was just shoving him. I was shoving him for everything it had, and just every once in a while it would get us squirrely and mess us up, but then we'd come right back with it. But it just, all that right there at the end just came down to, we kind of knew what we had to do, and a little bit of experience doing this all the way back when, stuff like 2K3.
Well, it certainly looked like you two were operating on the same wavelength there. You did a fantastic job pushing him around. Who do you have to thank for getting you a fantastic third place finish here tonight?
Just thank everybody with the league, Joey, all the guys that make this happen. I think this is Nick Silver's deal. So quick shout out to him for doing this. It's been a lot of fun this season. Thank you guys. Thank everybody with team name. And congrats to Josh on winning the race.
Well, it was absolutely a fantastic race. Congratulations on your third place run. You were half a tenth away from winning it. You were side by side at the line. Congratulations again on such a great run, and hopefully we see you here in the top 3 again soon.
Yeah, thanks guys.
Yo, Chad Coleman, man, doing an outstanding job up there in third. Let's bring this guy up, Chad Cole, coming up here in a second.
Chad Cole, not to be confused with Chad Coleman. That gives us an absolute headache up here in the booth, mind you. Congratulations on a great second place run. It's Jeff in the booth. Do you got a copy?
Yeah, we got you.
Well, I'm glad to hear it. You were riding that outside line, doing everything you could to try and get around there. You had some great help from Steve Gottschalk behind you and a great solid run at the end. You worked your way all the way up from 28th to 2nd place. What did it take to move your way through almost the entire field here tonight?
A couple cautions and some big wrecks, actually. No, we kind of didn't qualify by design and figured that there'd be a big one on the get-go, and there was a wreck, but it wasn't a big one. Didn't bring out a caution and ended up losing the pack there. So needed caution. We got one, got cut up there, and I don't know how I got up to 4th there. I think there's a big melee on the front stretch, and that's kind of how I got up there. That took out a bunch of cars. Was able to do some magic through there. I don't know, the seas just parted for me and got through there cleanly. But this package is something else with not being able to touch one another. You're really on edge there. I was pushing Steve and Matt for the longest time, and it's just really nerve-wracking. Haven't had to do that in a really long time, so glad that one's over with, to be honest.
Well, that perfectly segues into what my next question was going to be. I'm putting you on the spot here a little bit, but give us one word to describe driving these cars here where you couldn't really bump draft anybody, it seemed like, and it seemed like these cars were really on edge. So give us one word to describe driving it here for 70 laps at Talladega.
I'd go with sketchy. Just having it change. I mean, bump drafting is all we've known for so long, and to have it be so sensitive like it has been tonight, It's going to take some getting used to. I felt the guys did a really good job adjusting. We got a green flag pit stop in, so that was kind of surprising actually. So happy we did that. Kind of broke the field up a little bit, and yeah, it's going to be a challenge moving forward, but I think we're up to it.
Well, that's great to hear that you're up for the challenge. Who do you have to thank for getting you all the way from 28th to 2nd place here tonight?
Yeah, I got to give a shout out to Steve and Matt. We're working really well together. I was disappointed that Matt had I think Parker had a little a blink on the inside, and that spooked Matt, and he opened up the middle there, and I kind of just took it. So I hate it for Matt. I was really hoping to push him to a win, but Matt and Steve and Gail, Don, and everyone, Kevin even, I guess I'll give Kevin a shout out too. Why not? No, I love those guys. Nemesis Speed Lab for sponsoring the Wednesday series as well. Can't do it without them.
Well, that's fantastic to hear. Congratulations again on that 2nd place run. Great stuff out there, and we'll see you here next week.
All right, thank you.
There you go, Chad Cole. And I tell you what, this guy right here, Josh Parker, well, he was the main man out here tonight. Up here, third in winner here tonight. Josh Parker, Joe White in the boots, got a copy?
I got you guys.
Man, Josh, what was going through your mind there at the end?
Don't get hooked. Literally, that's probably the only thing I was thinking. I wasn't going to try to block anyone on the outside or anything with the way these cars bump. I did enough wrecking on Monday that I didn't want to cause another one, so I was just going to hold the bottom. I had my teammate Chad Coleman behind me, so pretty much I was just going to stay there and just hope I didn't get hooked and wreck there.
Well, definitely. I mean, now that's the thing. All night long we were talking about how the draft and how everything was playing and how the bump drafting was. What was your thoughts on how that bump drafting was?
I didn't think it was terrible. It's bad at first, but I think a couple of us kind of figured it out a little bit. It's if you could just stay tucked up under something, almost I described it as just using the air bubble in between the fender, your front fender and the guy's back bumper to push instead of the actual nose, and you got to just roll up and push them that way. Once we kind of figured that out, it wasn't that bad, but I also kind of rode in the back the whole race too, so it really didn't matter.
Well, it looks like, man, Chad behind you, kind of a little skeptical to get up there and maybe lay the bumper to you a little bit. We saw some big ones there earlier on, but put yourself in the right position, and your car don't look too well right now, but you win victory lane. Put it there tonight for the Nemesis Lab K&N series. Got anybody you want to thank?
Yeah, Chad Cole got super close to that. So, yes, he was trying to side draft, come to the line. But, yeah, I got to thank everyone that team name. The best team name we got in this whole league. Chad Coleman, Richie Beasley. I don't even know who else is on our team. David Constadt, Daniel Folkenham. Chad Coleman, I got to really thank him for pushing me there. Obviously, without him, I wasn't winning the race, so big shout out to him, and you guys for doing the broadcast. Everyone for, was it NAS Labs, Nice Labs, how it's ever said, for sponsoring.
Nemesis.
And, there we go, Nemesis Labs, and Joey for not being here because that saved another yellow.
Yeah. Well, he's gonna appreciate that one.
Yeah, I hope he's listening to this right now. He knows.
Yeah, he's out there watching. But I tell you what, man, it was an awesome race by you guys out tonight. I definitely, with the conditions that y'all had, with the new damage model and how the cars reacted and all. My hat's off to everyone. Again, congratulations on putting in victory lane there, Josh Parker.
Thanks, guys.
Right there you go. I'll tell you what, man, Jeff, man, what a wild one here tonight. These guys had a lot to deal with here, man, at Talladega, but it's typical Talladega racing, as we saw. But hey, how you got any final words on it?
It always blows me away just how clean the racing is here in this league, and when confronted with when you think about it, it's such a huge challenge with these cars. You have limited practice. They were released yesterday. They've had maybe 36 hours to drive these cars, and to have 2 cautions in the entire race, everyone just driving so respectfully, absolutely blows me away. You absolutely love to see it. So again, huge shout out to this league for having some of the best drivers that, you know, you could run this race without any admin policing and it would be perfectly fine because everyone out there races each other with so much respect. Everyone has fun, small jabs to each other here in the interviews afterwards, but everyone out there is friends and they race cleanly. That's what blows me away. That's what blows me away here with this. And 70 laps at Talladega with what, 2 cautions? That's pretty dang good.
No doubt about it. Well, I'll tell you what, we're going to leave Talladega with a wild one here in the K&N series with the Nemesis Labs and presented by the Sim500 for myself, Jeff, and the winner out there, Josh Parker. Everyone, have a good night.